Hey everybody, my name is Jenny Best. I'm the founder of Solid Starts. Thank you so much to Lovevery for having us today. It means a lot. We're going to answer a whole bunch of your questions on baby-led weaning today. So let's start with the big question. What is baby-led weaning? So in the purest sense of it, baby-led weaning is just starting solid, so introducing, real solid food to your baby by way of finger food rather than a puree on a spoon. A key part of baby-led weaning is just letting baby self-feed. The thought is that the goal here is to let the child learn to eat, so eventually they are feeding themselves. So when, our feeding therapists and feeding specialists look back at how spoon feeding developed over the years and just how oral motor skills develop and how child psychology develops, self-feeding as early as possible, so letting an infant around 6 months of age, which is typically when they're ready for solids, to start feeding themselves, has enormous benefits. Benefits in preventing picky eating, benefits in oral motor skills developing more rapidly, and just an overall sort of bringing baby to the table and to the family meal earlier, which we know has tremendous benefits as well. So there are a lot of reasons to do it, but a lot of people are afraid of it. So let's dig into that as well. So how does choking happen? Well, a malfunction of that, a miscoordination of it, or when a child suddenly tries to breathe while they're swallowing at the same time. Maybe they're crying, maybe they're laughing, maybe the toddler's running around, this kind of thing. So, of course, it's possible to choke on any food, and it's possible to aspirate liquid as well. But the reality is that our body is set up to protect against it. Now, what happens if baby bites off too big a piece of food? This is going to happen a lot, regardless of whether you start solids with finger food or purees and move to finger food. It's going to happen a lot, even into toddlerhood, so brace yourself for that. First, we want our children to take bites from food. It's the only way they learn to eat, and this is the goal. We want them to take a bite. Often they're going to be too big, and the only way they learn to take an accurate size bite is through trial and error, and a lot of error. Thankfully, the gag reflex has your back. Most of the time, a too big piece of food is going to trigger on the tongue a gag reflex. This is a contracting of the muscles to propel the food forward, up and out and forward. It's really powerful, it's really strong, and it's really sensitive in babies. So the gag reflex truly does have your back. So what are the best first foods to start with? In spite of popular belief that babies should start with rice cereal or bland, mushy porridge, it's completely unnecessary. There's really no best first food, but there are some foods that have characteristics that make it easier for babies to self-feed. They kind of fall into two categories. One is a category of really resistive foods that almost act like teethers. So meat on the bone, a chicken drumstick. I know it sounds crazy, but it's an amazing first food for babies. You can even take all the meat off of it if it makes you nervous. Spare ribs, again, you can take the meat off, a corn cob, or even a mango pit, things that baby can't actually bite through. This stimulates a lot of tongue movement, which is what we want to see in learning to eat, because to learn to eat, your tongue has to pick the food up and kind of move it over to the side to be chewed right here. So we need to trigger that tongue movement, and these foods do that. Okay, let's talk allergies. I am an allergy mom myself. My firstborn Charlie has life-threatening allergies to about 4 different foods. And so I've been there. I've done the EpiPen into the thigh 4 or 5 times. I've been to the emergency room for this many, many times. It can feel scary, and the fears are valid. Allergies are increasing. That said, I want you to remember this number. 92% of you listening right now will not have a child with food allergies. 92%. Now, for those of you in the 8%, I've been there, I know it's hard, but this is what I want you to take away from this. Almost every allergic reaction can be minimized or controlled if you start small. So allergies are all on a spectrum from mild to severe. So you might have a really severe allergy to peanut and not as severe of an allergy to dairy, or vice versa, right? But within that, it also matters about the amount of food that your child is ingesting. So the more of the allergen ingested, the more likely is you'll have a severe reaction on your hands. So when you're starting with introducing allergens, the best thing to do, especially in pandemic times and you don't want to end up in the hospital, is to just start small. It might be an eighth of a teaspoon or just a smear of peanut butter on your finger dabbed onto the lips. Start small and work your way up, and gradually and steadily you'll get more confidence along the way.